Good morning. This morning I'm going to continue on neutrality from the book by David Hawkins, Transcending the Levels of Consciousness. So from a psychoanalytical viewpoint, at the level of neutrality, the positive aspects of healthy, normal ego functions are successful in balancing both inner and outer functions. Primitive impulses are recognized and rejected as unfavorable options. Primitive impulses, the animal level impulses. The intellect is free of distorted emotionalities, allowing healthy reality testing and social accommodation to ensue. The conscience, or the superego, as Freud dubbed it, has been attenuated so that it is not necessary to project inner attitudes onto others. Human nature, including its animalistic drives, is accepted as normal and therefore does not have to be rejected, repressed, denied, or projected onto others. So as a side note, again, I didn't really get into it that much, but the second level up, holy shit, pardon my French, I'm just going back over the lower frequencies, like 30, like guilt. There's a chapter on guilt and vindictive hate, which is 30 hertz. But I hardly, oh my God, I hardly scratched the surface on this one. I definitely have to go back over the lower levels. It's like I said, I hardly scratched the surface. There's like over 20 pages. But for guilt is projected onto others as hatred. So that's why guilt and vindictive hate is part of the same level, as opposed to shame and despair. And there's a lot just on shame and despair. Not as much as guilt and vindictive hate, but people with guilt tend to project their hatred onto others. That's just how it works psychologically. If you have a lot of guilt, you tend to project hatred onto others. And that's a healthy pattern to notice in yourself and in others. So thus, neutrality is non-judgmental about the downside of physical, emotional, and social life. The level of neutrality is accomplished by feelings of security and safety as a consequence of non-defensiveness and non-positionality, with the resulting freedom from fear, guilt, and judgmentalism. There is also relief from the incessant demands on narcissistic needs or imperatives. Neutrality is neither cynical nor pessimistic, nor, on the other hand, does it proselytize for optimistic goals. Proselytizing, like preaching to others, which is Christianity. It accepts progress, change, and evolution of consciousness with neither resistance nor anticipation, but instead floats along the river of life by decision and acceptance rather than by what could be misperceived as passivity or indifference. And yeah, a lot of people, there's a strong tendency to label neutrality as passivity or indifference or even apathy, but apathy is its own can of worms. It's not it's one of the lower frequencies, which neutrality is not. Okay. Bear with me. So the peace and calm of neutrality are a welcome relief to those who have transcended the lower levels and survived their inner anguish. This might be viewed as a recuperative level for the spirit/soul that has struggled out of the swamps of despair, depression, anguish, guilt, fear, and frantic searching for gain, approval, and earthly riches, only to have them turn to ashes, which is usually what happens. Instead of regret, neutrality looks at the past as informative and ruefully educational. Like, life is about learning instead of regret. Like, you make a mistake, or as Christians call it, or religious movements, sin. Sin is just making a mistake. And you either learn from it or you plunge into the realm of regret and shame, which is not good. Many people elect to spend their this lifetime at this level of recuperation and inner healing. While neutrality is subjectively a very favorable state as compared to those below it, it is not yet an expression of the joy and radiance of divinity, or that of love or compassion as an upliftment to life. Neutral is neither destructive to life nor resistant, but neither is it an active contributor. It serves life by non-resistive participation and declines to be a deterrent. This level is essentially silent, neither adding to nor distracting from the panorama of life. In neutrality, one is grateful to have escaped the inner house of mirrors by the process of letting go and surrendering. There's freedom from the drivenness of have-tos or musts. It is no longer necessary to be a winner or successful or to acquire approval or acceptance. It is not necessary to be right, nor does one feel compelled to do something about the world's problems. Right? I mean, especially nowadays. Eventually, however, because of alignment with spiritual principles, consciousness again evolves, by virtue of inspiration, which seeks agreement by the will. The inner balance then moves from neutral to the more positive side of the scale as a consequence of intention that is supported by faith and the upliftment of positive purpose. Because of non-resistance, the spiritual energy of lovingness, as David Hawkins refers to it, lovingness, again stirs the soul, which now seeks ever higher levels of awareness and expression. The potentiality for the development of unconditional love and compassion attracts an increasing appreciation of beauty and spiritual progress as a consequence of worship and prayer. Thus, by non-resistance, the door is open, as he phrases this. The door is open for the grace of divine energy that propels the evolution of consciousness, by which the personal will becomes affirmative and is drawn to divinity by attraction and the progressive inner warmth of the radiance of divine love itself. That's a mouthful. The activation of spiritual potentiality is a consequence of non-resistance, which is like the flower that opens and responds to the warmth of the sun by virtue of its intrinsic qualities imbued by creation itself. Okay, so next level is willingness. Calibration level 310 hertz. So, yeah, that was a mouthful. I probably should explain some of that, but so probably tomorrow I'm gonna read a little more from Emerson, one of his other essays. I'm kind of jumping around, I know. Either self-reliance or nature. So, all right. Have a good day, folks.